Everybody say baby oil. My hidden talents really can't be discussed on national television because it involves excessive amounts of baby oil.
Hold on to your hats, because what Katt Williams just dropped is nothing short of explosive. You thought you knew everything about Steve Harvey and Diddy, right? Well, think again. Katt Williams has just uncovered a secret connection between the two that's so wild, so unexpected, it's sending shockwaves through Hollywood. And when I say this changes everything, I mean, if this revelation is like a nuclear bomb going off in a room full of power players, Steve Harvey smooth talker, motivational guru, and that guy who always has something to say is suddenly caught in a web of connections no one saw coming. And Diddy? The mogul, the mastermind behind hip-hop's biggest empire, turns out, he might have been pulling strings in ways we never imagined. But what happens when these two icons, whose influence has shaped careers, culture, and more, are revealed to have a link nobody knew about? Katt Williams just pulled the curtain back on a conspiracy so deep. Even Hollywood's most powerful are sweating. This isn't gossip. This isn't a theory. This is Katt Williams dropping a bombshell that's about to blow the lid off everything you thought you knew. Stick around. Because once you hear this, you'll never look at Steve or Diddy the same way again. When Katt Williams opened his mouth, you know it wasn't going to be a regular news drop. This wasn't a throwaway comment or casual speculation, it was big. It was bold, and it immediately sent the internet into a frenzy. For those who have followed Katt's career, you know that he's not just a comedian, he's a provocateur, an expert in making everyone around him squirm just a little bit with the truth. But this was next level. The revelation was simple, but jaw-dropping. Katt Williams claimed that Steve Harvey and Diddy were connected in ways that no one knew about. And, as always, Katt didn't say it in a delicate or polite way. No, he deliberately teased, dropped hints, and let the idea linger in the air, daring the public to figure it out. To say he dropped a bombshell is an understatement. This was the equivalent of setting off fireworks at a dinner party and then sipping your drink like nothing happened. Steve Harvey, the man we all know as the smooth-talking host of Family Feud and the motivational speaker, who's always ready with a pearl of wisdom, suddenly looked different in the public eye. The image we all have of Steve charming, clean-cut, and self-assured started to feel like a carefully constructed facade. Diddy, the mogul with fingers in every pie, from music to fashion to business, suddenly felt like part of an even bigger web we weren't supposed to see. And Katt? He didn't just hint at a little friendly relationship between the two. Oh no, he exposed something bigger. Something that hinted at hidden influence, under-the-table deals, and the kind of quiet power moves that really run the entertainment industry. Fans didn't know how to react at first. Some gasped, others laughed it off, and a few just sat there, wide-eyed, trying to connect the dots. But Katt's timing was impeccable. Both Steve and Diddy were buzzing in the media for separate reasons, making this revelation land harder than a hammer on glass. Harvey's recent ventures, his talk shows, and his motivational speeches about seizing your moment now seemed to have a more calculated edge to them. And Diddy? The mogul behind the biggest hip-hop empire, was his every move more strategic than we thought? Had these two been in cahoots, pulling strings behind the scenes in ways the public had no idea about? At first, it felt like a slow burn, Katt casually laying out the breadcrumbs, but not revealing the full story. However, as the news spread, the internet exploded into chaos. People started going back, analyzing every public moment Steve and Diddy had shared. Was there a hidden message in their joint appearances? Were they communicating on a level beyond the simple exchange of pleasantries? Every public interaction between these two now became an artifact, a piece of evidence in a much bigger story. In one interview, Steve Harvey spoke about the importance of collaboration and the power of unity in the industry. Was it just standard talk for an entertainer who built an empire from his charm? Or was there more to it? Diddy, known for his calculated and often secretive nature, had always been surrounded by rumors of shady dealings, but now the idea that he and Steve Harvey were operating in the same circle? That was enough to send the rumor mill into overdrive. People started asking, what if all these motivational speeches weren't just about helping people? What if there was something far more calculated at play? Were Harvey's speeches designed to manipulate, steer, and control public perception and possibly even support the hidden agenda of Diddy himself? Let's not forget about the power dynamics at play here. Both Steve and Diddy are formidable figures in their own right, but together they could create an empire. And the idea that these two could have been working together behind the scenes, influencing industry trends and decisions, was enough to make anyone question the legitimacy of everything they had built separately. That's when the conspiracy theories started to fly, and the internet ate it up. Were they quietly controlling the entertainment industry through their connections? Were other celebrities in on it? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future? But of course, in true Katt Williams style, he didn't just drop a bomb and walk away. No, he kept fans hooked. He threw in more teases, more hints. Every comment felt like a clue. He knew exactly what he was doing. By planting seeds of doubt and feeding into the growing speculation, Katt made sure the conversation didn't just stay on Twitter or in YouTube comments, it kept growing. Every mention of Diddy or Steve Harvey became explosive, like everyone was looking for the next big reveal. The general public now found themselves questioning everything. Was Steve Harvey's career a carefully cultivated image? Or was it the product of a series of strategic partnerships and hidden networks? Was Diddy playing a bigger role in shaping the entertainment landscape than anyone realized? Katt didn't just give them the answers, they were left hunting for them. Even social media influencers, known for their unflinching opinions and bold takes, started to tread lightly. Some claimed Katt was over-exaggerating. Others sat quietly, perhaps realizing that Katt might just be onto something. The industry began to feel like a house of cards, with each reveal and accusation knocking it closer to the tipping point. Was it all an elaborate game of who knows what and when? Was the entire Hollywood machine built on the back of quiet power plays and backroom deals between moguls like Diddy and Steve Harvey? What Katt Williams had done, intentionally or not, was unleash a torrent of questions, and the entertainment world wasn't sure how to answer them. Every response, every meme, and every piece of commentary only fueled the flames of suspicion. Fans didn't know if they were witnessing a conspiracy or just the latest Katt Williams antics. But the mystery surrounding Steve Harvey and Diddy was undeniable. In the meantime, the entertainment world braced itself. More reactions from Steve and Diddy were expected. Would they defend themselves? Would they deny everything? Or would they keep their lips sealed, letting the rumors and theories spiral further into the abyss? But one thing was clear, Katt Williams had changed the game. He pulled back the curtain, and now the world was looking at two of the most powerful men in Hollywood, wondering just what kind of secret connection they shared. And once that curtain was pulled back, there was no going back. The story spread. It wasn't just about two celebrities anymore. It became a cultural phenomenon, a reminder of how easily the public could be manipulated and how much power those in control really had behind the scenes. The conspiracy, real or not, had taken on a life of its own. What started as Katt Williams stirring the pot had now become a cultural event that had everyone fans. Critics, celebrities scrambling to piece it together. But while the internet was still reeling, one thing remained. The real story was just beginning. And Katt Williams had set it all in motion. As the dust settled on Katt Williams' explosive reveal, the situation didn't calm down, it got messier. What started as an offhand comment quickly escalated into a full-blown media storm. Steve Harvey and Diddy, two of the most famous figures in entertainment, were now at the center of a mystery so tangled it could have been pulled straight out of a spy thriller. And as usual, when the internet gets a taste of something juicy, it turns into a blood sport. Speculation ran wild, and the memes? Forget about it. The internet was eating this up like it was the last slice of pizza at a party. First, let's talk about the memes, because you know the internet never misses an opportunity to turn a juicy rumor into pure comedy gold. Photoshop edits started circulating like wildfire, placing Steve Harvey and Diddy in every possible secret agent scenario you could imagine. Trench coats, dark sunglasses, code names. Diddy was suddenly Agent Puff, and Steve was the chairman, quietly pulling strings from behind the scenes like some cinematic villain. And let's not forget the memes that compared them to a rap version of The Godfather Mysterious. Powerful and with a little too much sway over things they shouldn't, of course. There was the inevitable side-eyeing. The memes grew sharper, the jokes colder, and suddenly, Katt Williams wasn't just making a casual comment, he was exposing a covert operation. The internet collectively leaned in, waiting for the next bomb to drop. Was this the beginning of the biggest expose-in? Hollywood history, or just Katt being Katt, stirring up chaos for the sake of a laugh? Fans, influencers, and even some celebrities started choosing sides. And the debate was real, on one side. You had those who fully bought into the theory Steve Harvey and Diddy are in it together, pulling strings and manipulating the public. These were the people in the comment sections typing things like, "That's why Steve is always so calm." And Diddy's always on the move because they're controlling everything. Others suggested that their connection explained certain oddities in the entertainment world. How did Steve's shows keep getting renewed? How was Diddy's empire expanding across so many industries, from music to fashion to vodka? Could this be the missing link to the empire these two were building behind the scenes? Then, on the other side, you had the skeptics. Those who thought Katt was just catting against stirring the pot and throwing shade where there was none. Please, some tweeted. This is Katt playing the role of the truth teller, but all he's doing is making up stories to stay relevant. Steve and Diddy? It's not that deep. These were the people who refused to believe anything that didn't come with receipts because who could possibly take Katt's claims seriously, right? After all, this was the same man who had made headlines for roasting everyone from his fellow comedians to the entire entertainment industry itself. But here's the thing, Katt's fans didn't care if they had receipts. They didn't need proof when it came to his word. And the more Katt dropped these hints, the more they started digging into the social media timelines of Harvey and Diddy. What they found was interesting. It wasn't just the casual appearances or the occasional mutual friends popping up in pictures. It was deeper than that. People started noticing the subtle ways these two titans of industry crossed paths. For example, did you ever notice that every time Steve Harvey got a huge business deal, Diddy was quietly involved? That time Harvey appeared at an event hosted by one of Diddy's biggest business partners. Or when Harvey hosted an event that Diddy's brand was subtly associated with, yet nobody talked about it in the press. People were starting to connect the dots, and you best believe the memes were getting darker. Is Diddy just the face of the empire and Steve's the one who's making it all happen? The theorists were out in full force as Katt's revelations began to circulate. It wasn't just fans or critics who were reacting, it was celebrities. Some were careful not to step on any toes, posting cryptic tweets like, "Never believe what you hear, but always trust the timing." Others were more direct, firing back at Katt, but not quite denying the implications. The silence from Steve and Diddy was deafening. They didn't need to say anything. The fact that they weren't denying it was all the confirmation the internet needed. Because as everyone knows, when the powerful stay quiet, they're usually hiding something. The world watched as the conspiracy theory snowballed. Katt wasn't just making noise anymore, he was setting a narrative in motion. Influencers began discussing how these two men had always moved in mysterious ways and how their shared connections might explain why certain stars got ahead, while others fell behind. The mainstream press had no choice but to cover it, and suddenly Katt was the most talked about comedian in America again. Not for his jokes, not for his stand-up, but for his revelations that were now shaping the entertainment conversation. The outrage reached its peak when social media users began pulling up old footage of Harvey and Diddy together, trying to spot the moment where everything clicked. Was there a look shared between them at a charity event? Was there a moment in interviews when their faces told a different story than what they were saying? Fans flooded the comment sections, asking questions they'd never thought to ask before. Were we being played all along? It wasn't just about Harvey and Diddy anymore. It was about everything in the entertainment world that had seemed like a coincidence until now. Every career move, every hit TV show, every business deal. People started to wonder how much of it was orchestrated. Had we all been living in a world shaped by a hidden alliance between two of the most powerful men in Hollywood? And just when it seemed like the public might get distracted, Katt Williams dropped another bomb. During a live interview, he casually mentioned how the puppet masters of Hollywood don't always show their faces, but they sure know how to make the rest of us dance. The comment was so pointed that it left people hanging on every word. Had Katt just implied that Diddy and Steve Harvey were part of a bigger operation? One that pulled strings to influence not just the entertainment industry, but the way we consume media and culture itself. The memes went from funny to eerie. Twitter users started sharing photos of Diddy and Steve in old interviews, cutting between them like conspiracy theorists connecting dots with string. Katt Williams had sparked a wildfire of speculation, and now, even those who had dismissed his claims earlier were starting to question everything. As the storm surrounding Katt Williams' revelation continued to escalate, the consequences became undeniable. The entertainment world was shook. The idea that two of the most powerful men in Hollywood, Steve Harvey and Diddy, had secretly been connected in ways that influenced everything from TV ratings to music deals was now out in the open. And with the weight of the internet watching, every move they made from that point on was dissected with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. The silence from both Steve and Diddy was deafening, and it spoke volumes. They hadn't denied Katt's claim, and that alone sent a ripple of unease through the entire industry. People don't stay silent when there's nothing to hide. That's when things went from a casual rumor to a full-blown crisis. The silence only served to fuel the fire, and now every major media outlet and influencer was demanding answers. But they didn't get them. Not from Harvey, not from Diddy, and certainly not from Katt, who was now playing the role of both whistleblower and ringleader in a drama that was spiraling out of control. Hollywood insiders knew that something bigger was afoot, but nobody was ready to go on the record. The tension was palpable. And the longer Steve and Diddy kept quiet, the louder the suspicions grew. It wasn't just fans and casual observers who were glued to their screens anymore. It was everyone. Media outlets were scrambling to figure out how to spin this. Were they dealing with a conspiracy, or was this just the ramblings of a comedian with an axe to grind? But the longer this dragged on, the more it became clear. Katt Williams had started something that couldn't be undone. And in the world of entertainment, when one person exposes a secret like this, it's never just one secret, it's a whole web that unravels. The public's perception of Steve Harvey, Diddy, and their respective empires had shifted overnight. Fans, once enamored with Steve Harvey's charm and Diddy's mogul status, now began to look at them through a more critical lens. The easy, comfortable narratives that had been built around them were suddenly questioned. Was Steve really just the lovable, hardworking, family-oriented guy who always had a witty remark? Was Diddy simply a music mogul turned businessman, or was he pulling the strings in a much bigger game? The public wanted answers, and they weren't going to settle for vague statements or smoke and mirrors. The memes continued. But now they weren't just about laughs, they were about exposing the hidden power dynamics. The absurdity of the initial jokes took a darker turn, and suddenly every old photograph, every clip of the two men shaking hands or attending the same event, was used as evidence in the court of public opinion. People began drawing parallels between their behavior and the actions of some of Hollywood's most infamous power players. In the public's eyes, Steve and Diddy were no longer just stars. They were potential architects of an entertainment empire designed to keep outsiders in the dark. Meanwhile, Katt Williams was basking in the chaos he'd created. No longer just a comedian, Katt had become a cultural disruptor. His name was now synonymous with uncovering secrets and forcing people to look at the entertainment industry with a critical eye. Every time he spoke, people listened. And while some criticized him for causing unnecessary drama, many agreed that he was exposing the skeletons in Hollywood's closet. Katt had transformed from a stand-up comedian into an internet sensation, and his followers grew exponentially. In a world where headlines die after a few days, Katt had managed to keep the conversation going for weeks, and even months. But as all of this unfolded, the bigger question remained: what was the true impact of this revelation? What did it mean for the reputations of Diddy and Steve Harvey, Two men whose public images had been built on years of trust, influence, and success. How would this affect their personal brands, their businesses, and their relationships in the industry? For Steve Harvey, the fallout was immediate. The carefully curated image of the family man and comedian with a heart of gold was now under intense scrutiny. His reputation had been built on relatability, hard work, and the everyman persona. But the revelation about his ties to Diddy suggested that perhaps his rise to success had more to do with calculated moves than anyone had ever realized. Fans who had seen him as a beacon of inspiration started to wonder. If they had been duped by a carefully constructed facade, the media began re-examining every aspect of Steve's career. His books, his TV shows, his speeches, all of it was now reinterpreted through the lens of power plays and hidden alliances. Was his rise to fame truly organic, or had it been orchestrated with the help of the right people behind the scenes? More importantly, how much influence did Diddy have in shaping Harvey's career? This wasn't just about a few backroom deals anymore. It was about exposing a complex web of power and connections that most people had never considered. For Diddy, the fallout was more complicated. As the mogul with the Midas touch, he was already a master at maintaining control over his public image. But now that his connection to Steve was out in the open, his carefully constructed empire was being re-evaluated. Was Diddy simply a business mogul, or was he using his vast network to influence the trajectory of the entire entertainment industry? He had always been a polarizing figure, loved by some, hated by others. But now he was at the center of a conspiracy theory that had the potential to tear apart the narrative he'd spent decades building. The implications weren't just about Harvey and Diddy's individual reputations, they were about the entire structure of Hollywood itself. If two men could secretly steer the entertainment industry from behind the scenes, how many other relationships, partnerships, and networks were operating in the shadows? How much of what we saw on TV, in music, and in movies was truly organic, and how much was manufactured by the unseen hands of power brokers? The public wanted more. And as Katt's revelation continued to echo across the internet, the ripple effects were felt in every corner of the entertainment industry. Fans and critics alike demanded transparency. They wanted answers. And with every new revelation, Katt's message became clearer. Hollywood wasn't as it seemed, and he wasn't going to let anyone forget it. The consequences of Katt Williams' bombshell were just beginning to unfold. And as the world watched Steve Harvey and Diddy navigate the storm, one thing was certain: the entertainment industry would never be the same. Alright. If you made it this far, you know this wasn't your usual Gossip Hits next level drama. Smash that like button like it owes you money, because Katt Williams just exposed something so wild. It's bound to have the whole industry shook for months. Now, I need to hear from you in the comments. Do you think Katt's onto something with his claim about Steve Harvey and Diddy? Or is this just one big, over-the-top conspiracy? Drop your theories, your hottest takes, and whatever wild thoughts you've got below. Let's turn this comment section into a full-on investigation. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button and turn on the notifications, because if this revelation shocked you, you're going to want to be first to know what happens next. Trust me. The next bombshell is already being whispered about, and you don't want to miss it. The drama's only getting started, and it's about to get even crazier. Make sure you're locked in, because the biggest stories don't break